Good evening, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know, and I'm going to react again to a Gabrielle Torch video that I just watched that goes over AI, a status report of sorts from her, and I'll link her video in the description below. I want to answer a question she poses in her video about what would qualify any artificial intelligence as being fully generally intelligent on the par of a human being, kind of. What would that look like, and what would the metric be as far as measuring it? And I want to just weigh in with a couple of observations. This isn't really a new question, and in fact, if you watched a lot of Star Trek back in the day when it was popular, and especially the Next Generation series, which was really, really good in my opinion, they covered this already. Back in the 90s, they had an episode with nanobots. If you remember that one, there was a problem in a tube or a cave where the nanobots did something that was questionable. Somebody got hurt, and there was an investigation because it was thought that the nanobots had malfunctioned after a fashion. So they ran some tests, and most of the episode is about running the tests and finding out what's up with the nanobots. And near the end of the episode, spoiler alert, Data, who is, as you may know, an android himself, he's a highly functional, intelligent android who is an officer on board the ship. He's helping with the testing, and he insists at one point that they have to turn off all the tests. He cancels everything. He kicks everybody out, and they're like, "Whoa, Data, what you up to, man? What are you doing?" And he says, "I have reason to believe that the nanobots are alive." And in conclusion, and to get to the point, the nanobots were, in fact, passing the test so well that they weren't even answering the questions of the test. They saw through it, and they refused to even participate because they were so highly intelligent, and Data figured that out. So anyway, the question was asked specifically in relation to Gabrielle's video: at what point does a life form, does an artificial life form qualify as deserving of rights and dignity? At what point do you have to acknowledge that an intelligence, beyond a point, if it complains of suffering or pain, that it must be acknowledged on the same level as a human being? At what point? So I want to answer this, and I'm not going to just roll out that episode, but I'm just saying that it was already explored. The topic has already been explored. I would say that the question itself is badly phrased, like many questions, unfortunately. With all due respect, I think that the question isn't what constitutes intelligence, it's what do you mean by intelligence? Okay, we need to know exactly what you're looking for, and like any word or symbol, out of context, it is meaningless. I want to say that twice. There is no such thing as a symbol that has meaning out of context. It has to have a bigger picture around it, a cause and effect, before and after, and everything in the middle, before you can even know what the question is. So this is my problem with certain legal language that expects symbols to fit behavior, and then it is therefore bad behavior, when in fact it fits many different kinds, usually good behavior, unfortunately. So I talk about that in many of my videos, but the same principle is at work here, where the question is, what constitutes intelligence? Give me a situation. My answer is, I can't tell you until I see what you're talking about. I could tell you if I saw it. I could tell you if there was a real situation with real players, with real computer programs. The criteria really are the criteria are the criteria, for lack of a better way to say it. Do you know what I mean? So you would need to have a test that was dynamic enough to accommodate a changing set of inputs. So when you're getting into something as complex and advanced as intelligence or artificial intelligence, you have to accept that there's no static test that's going to satisfy every situation, because there are so many different kinds and so many different possible questions and situations that can arise. So it has to be a judgment call based on the intended meaning of the word. So I would need clarification of exactly what you mean given a real situation, and such as the Turing test was reached and surmounted by AI. I believe that it was surmounted partially because it's a static test. It's a well-defined test with very little room for interpretation, room for judgment, but any fair test must have some form of consideration of circumstances. I stand by this. Any fair, accurate test, as far as something pertaining to intelligence, whether it's organic or artificial, must consider circumstances, or else it's not what we call due process. So it sounds like your question is kind of like putting AI on trial potentially, not for a crime, but for the question of whether or not it constitutes an intelligence that is deserving of equal rights. Okay, that's a type of trial, and such as any trial goes, it would require due process in the form of a presumption of innocence and all the things that we know pertain to actual justice. Due process, investigation, and ultimately a vote of confidence, all right? So I would say that you go into the test assuming that the AI is already deserving of rights. Maybe this is the answer, right? Your AI is already deserving of equal human rights until at which point it violates that criteria. It proves itself as being not a member of the same community, or not potentially a member, being a hostile party, a representative of something that is dangerous, and these are all exemptions for inalienable human rights. If there's some kind of creature or force that is fighting humankind, I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to protect and preserve that thing. You would be at battle with it or at war with it. So anyway, I go on and on. Big picture matters, consideration of circumstances matters in summary, and in order to answer the question of what constitutes actual intelligence and whether or not it deserves equal rights would be a process very much like our legal system that presumes innocence, that errs on the side of optimism, and gives every vote of confidence possible before you condemn it to having no rights, I think. That's the answer. Reach out if you like down below with questions or comments.